All right. Hey, friends, I want to thank you for listening. And I'm going to try to, in 7 minutes, share my 7 minute history of the sports movement in North America. I can't guarantee that I'll complete it, but I'll try. Now, most importantly, I want to invite you to begin writing your story into the North American sports movement. This isn't a highlight reel. It's a story of my small beginning, these imperfect partnerships that I've witnessed over time, and really how courage and faith have played out in the world of sport. Now, I've realized that disciple making really is something that I didn't understand at the time. But I understood sports and how, whether it was a youth sports league or fitness class, that how it could open up incredible opportunities for relationships. So my journey, it starts in 1993. And I began serving along other people, and we were all gathering together to basically plan for outreach during the 1996 Summer Olympics here in Atlanta. And we connected with people from the global sports movement. Now, at that point, I didn't know really the language of movements. I just knew there was passion and vision when they spoke. And this is what I've learned over time about movements. Movements are sustained not just by passion and vision, but by faith and courage. And really, those two things are always tested along the way. And this is my story of that testing. Now, long before I ever entered the picture, back in 1984, leaders are gathering, and they're already gathering for this very first large scale national sports ministry conference. This is pastors, churches, agencies, they're all coming together, not to build a brand, but to figure out how to collaborate. And a result of that is we begin to see certain things pop up. The Super Bowl begins to, or churches begin to plan in Minneapolis for outreach during the Super Bowl. And then again in Atlanta, same thing. These are churches opening their doors, experimenting with the idea of sports ministry. And, these are incredible moments where people are coming together to build momentum. Now, this is a lesson that I began to see. God doesn't waste any of these moments. He uses every single moment to refine the heart of the movement. So back in 1996, I really began to see something shift. For the first time, this is 1,500 churches all partnering together under one banner. And that's really amazing. And that's where I step in. Now, what stood out to me wasn't the scale, but the posture of these churches. These are churches owning the missions, local leaders stepping forward, no one waiting for permission, just strategies beginning to move forward like kids' games, Cup of Nations, and leadership gatherings began to happen, city by city, relationship by relationship, not fast, but faithfully as a result of what happened in 1986. Now, over time, we begin to see where this focus of all these people working together begins to really move from how do we do outreach to now, how do we develop leaders to now today, how do we help cities build disciple multiplying ecosystems? So over time, we've had the Bridge Conference, Ready, Set, Go, now the birth of the North American sport movement. And we haven't really created something new. We're just about connecting what God is already doing. But back in 2020, COVID hit, right? And it shuts doors, it cancels events, and it really focuses the movement to innovate. Now, what could have ended the movement actually helped clarify it. We began to realize that our mission didn't depend on platforms, it depends on people. So here we are in 2026, and North America is entering an unprecedented decade of major sports events. We have the World Cup this summer, US, Canada, and Mexico playing host. We have the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Then in 2031, the Women's World Cup hosted by this region. And then in 2034, the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. And these events, they're not just a mission, but they're catalysts. They create urgency. They gather people together. They expose spiritual hunger in our communities, and they give local leaders permission to step into conversations that they're already happening in the communities and begin to field test and test how sports ministry can help advance the gospel. So here's my biggest takeaway after all these years. Big impact, it rarely announces itself at the beginning. It almost always shows up disguised as really maybe a small prayer or even just a single conversation sometimes. Or it's really maybe just one team, a small team saying, we'll try. You know, scripture says something. You remember where scripture says, do not despise the day of small things? You know, that's not inspirational fluff. That's movement strategy. So here's my invitation to you. Don't wait to be invited. Don't wait to be funded. Don't wait to be certain. Start with where you are. Yeah, gather 2 or 3 people. Look at everything around you. Look at the sports. Look at who's playing. Look at where they're working out, the spaces that they're using. Look at all the places where people are gathering in and through sport, play, fitness, and even gaming. And I want you to ask this simple question: what could disciple making look like here? And don't forget those gaps, those places where no one else is going. You know, major sports events, they can open doors, but really it's local faithfulness that walks through it. And that's the North American sports movement and why it exists. It exists to give you language, tools, and a community, a place to belong, to come together with other like-minded people. But the movement itself, it lives not on a platform, not on a website. It lives in your city. It lives in your community. It lives in your relationships. Now, one day, I hope to sit across from you and hear your 7-minute history of what God did when you chose to start small. Because movements don't begin with huge crowds. They begin with courage. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where can you begin? You know, where can you connect? Where can you start? And one place is here. I want you to connect with us. I want you to learn with us. I want you to take the next step right now. I want you to stay engaged. But more than anything else, I want you to go start. I can't wait to hear your story.